Hey everybody! So here are JoJo's 14 tips for better sleep. We've been doing a series on tips, health tips from Coach JoJo, and today we're talking about better sleep. So there are 14 massive tips for better sleep. The first is to establish a routine. And it's really important to go to sleep at the same time, wake up at the same time. It helps regulate, it gets your brain to know now is time to wake up, now is time to go to sleep. The second one is to create a sleep-friendly environment. I think it's called sleep hygiene. And so you want to make sure that the room is dark, it's quiet, it's comfortable, it's cool, especially for those of us of the female older persuasion. It can be very warm with hot flashes and things like that. So you want to make sure that it's cool temperature. You've got some blankets, but they're not too hard, too hot. Maybe a fan if that's going to get you more comfortable. You want to limit your exposure to screens, your phone, your even maybe TV, like an hour before you go to sleep. You want to not be on your phone the whole time. There's some evidence to show that can help not get better sleep. Then also you want to develop a bedtime routine, things you do before bedtime, so your brain kind of gets used to, okay, after I do these things, I'm going to sleep. And so one of those things is you might want to, like, instead of being on your phone, you may want to read before going to bed. You may want to do some meditation, some prayer, and meditate on the Lord. You may want to take a warm bath or shower. Just things like this, stretching maybe, to just signal your brain that it's time to go to bed, time to go to sleep. You want to watch your diet. I'm going to talk about this a little bit more. So there are things that you want to, like, sometimes it can be too much later in the day to have a big meal, like right before you go to bed, but you may be hungry. It's real good to have 6 small meals a day, not the 3 big meals that we were taught when we were young. So you can have something light, small, before you go to sleep. That way your body's not looking for food and you're satisfied. That's going to keep you asleep longer. You want to be watchful of your daytime habits. So you want to get regular physical activity, but it doesn't have to be like really hard activity. You could do some walking. So you don't want to do, like, you don't want to go to the gym really late at night and then come home and then go to sleep. You want to do some maybe walking sometime before you go to bed, something like that. Sunlight is really important, enough to get your vitamin D, and so that really helps as well. Light exposure, things like that. And then there are other little things. So you want to limit, like, if you're, like, I had insomnia and it was really bad before I got healthy. And so I used to be kind of forced to take naps during the day. And you really want to limit the naps during the day, because that's going to limit how much you sleep later on. So if you can at all avoid it, you want to take maybe 15-20-minute naps, and avoid doing that later in the day, because if you take naps later in the day, that's going to make it even worse. More worse. You want to manage your stress as well, because a lot of times when we get to the end of the day, we're doing things throughout the day, and so doing those, we may have that in the back of our head, but we're concentrating on the things we're actually trying to do. So you do want to limit your stress when you go to bed, because once you go to bed, you're not doing anything physical. You're not doing anything with your hands, your feet. You're just laying there. And so that stress, you can just get in your own head and be thinking all about these things that you need to do. One tip that I have is to keep a to-do list. So you can write down what you have before you go to bed. That way, for the next day, that way you're not thinking through the night, oh, I got to remember to do this, I got to remember to do that. It's all on your list, done for the night. You can think about it tomorrow. You want to avoid watching the clock. So a lot of times you can, gee, I wonder what time it is. And, so every couple of minutes you're looking at the clock, and that kind of wakes you up. Another thing that you want to do is if you are sitting there in the middle of the night or right before you go to bed, right before you go to sleep, if you're there for like 10, 15, 20 minutes, you're not getting to sleep. I know my husband used to say, well, just go to sleep. And it doesn't always work. And in your brain needs to understand, I'm in bed, time for sleep. It's only time for sleep. So if you sit there in your bed trying to get to sleep after 15, 20 minutes, sometimes even 10 minutes, your brain thinks bed is for other things. And so it's, you got to train your brain. When you're in bed, you're, trying to get to sleep. So if it's not working, they say, get up, go do something, and then come back. A lot of times you'll then feel sleepy. And once you get back to bed, brain goes, oh yeah, bed, sleepy, time for sleep. Another thing is there are some natural supplements that you can use, melatonin. I wrote some down because I always forget these. Magnesium. There's a combination of things that you can take. It really just depends on you. You might want to check with your doctor to see what things might work for you. And then if this is not working, you should ask your doctor about a sleep test. And so there are, I forget what they call it, sleep study. And so that's something, a lot of times they can determine what the problem is. Sometimes it's sleep apnea. Sometimes it could be other things. But normally they can find I think you need to sleep more than 3.5 hours or something like 4 hours in order for them to find reason. I know this because I did the sleep study. I only slept for 3 hours and 15 minutes, and they said it wasn't long enough to find what the cause was. That didn't help me, but it did help in my husband's case. And so if they do know, 9 times out of 10, they can figure that out, and then you can go from there. In addition, one of the things that really helped me is getting the proper nutrition and losing weight. So I did have insomnia and other health issues long before I gained my menopause weight. But I realized too that a lot of the reason why I had these problems is because I was not getting the proper nutrition. So once I did, and once I lost the weight, I slept so much better. So if the last thing is your issue, let me know. I can help you with that. But I hope the other tips have helped you, if that's not your issue, to get some tips for better sleep. Sleep is so important for our health. It's a lot more important than we normally think it is. I'll be back next week with more tips.